Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deck Wizard channel. In this tutorial, I'll be unboxing a brand new 64GB model Steam Deck, replacing the internal eMMC drive and showing you the best process for dual booting SteamOS and Windows 10 or 11 on your Steam Deck with one press of the power button. It's been some time since I released a tutorial on how to dual boot your Steam Deck, and the response and support from all of you has been incredible. Since the original method released for installing the refined bootloader manually, there have been many questions. Today, I'll be sharing a new method which is an answer to almost all of those questions, and you will notice the process has become far easier, more automated, and changed for the better, so even more of you can dual boot your Steam Decks from the internal drive. To dual boot, we will need the following: 2 USBs, minimum 8GB in size, for writing our SteamOS recovery image and Windows 10 or 11, a USB-C adapter, and preferably a USB keyboard and mouse. To create your bootable USBs, you will need a Windows computer or laptop to download a free program called Rufus. Run this once and download the SteamOS recovery image from the link in the description. Plug in your first blank USB and drag and drop the recovery image onto Rufus. Once ready, click Start and wait for the image to finish writing. With your second USB, if you are dual booting Windows 10, access the Media Creation tool via the link in the description from Microsoft. If you are installing Windows 11, within Rufus with your second USB plugged in, you must select Download, Windows 11 for version, and for release, it is important you choose the 21H2 V1 release, which the build ends in 2021-11. Edition, language, and architecture is pre-selected for us, and all we need to do is select Continue, download, and confirm where we want to save the image. Once this image is saved, we want to drag and drop the image onto Rufus as we did with our SteamOS recovery image, and select Start. Depending on your internet connection and USB write speed, the time to complete this preparation for dual booting can vary from person to person. Once you have both USBs ready, come back over to your Steam Deck and plug in your USB-C adapter and insert the first USB for the SteamOS recovery image. With the Steam Deck powered off, hold volume down and press power once to access the boot menu and choose our Steam Deck recovery image. This can take 5 minutes to load if you're doing this for the first time. If you already have SteamOS installed, you will still need to load up the recovery USB for when we split the drive to access the KDE Partition Manager, which I will explain after I have re-imaged the Steam Deck on my fresh 256GB NVMe. To install SteamOS, select Re-image Steam Deck from the desktop. Wait for the console window to appear and press Proceed to confirm you want everything erased and for the partition table to be recreated. This process can take about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. Once finished, make sure to press Cancel and close the window. Next, we want to press our application launcher in the bottom left. Choose System and select KDE Partition Manager. Inside the Partition Manager, we will be creating a new NTFS partition on our existing or replaced internal drive to install Windows 10 or 11. Make sure from the drive list on the left you have chosen your internal drive. In my instance, it is the Samsung NVMe. In here, you will see everything that the Reimage Steam Deck task performed. At the bottom of this list, we can see a partition on our drive called ext4 Home with a size of 227 GB. This is the main partition size for the drive I just fitted, which has SteamOS installed. We want to right-click on this partition with L2 and select Resize Move. From here, you will see a box appear with a slider for resizing the home partition. By comparing size and free space after, we can slide this bar to a place that is best suited to what we want the total size of our operating system installations to be. For my own personal requirements on this Steam Deck, I'm going to allocate around half of my 227 GB to Windows, which after all of the installation is complete, should give me about 90 to 100 GB to install applications and games. Once you have decided on the size you want between both operating systems, choose OK, and underneath ext4 Home, an unknown partition has appeared in Placeholder. Right-click on this partition and select New. In this window, we want to select the file system drop-down and choose NTFS and choose OK. Now we must press Apply in the top left corner to perform the pending operations we have just queued. Once the tasks are completed, press OK and KDE Partition Manager will refresh the partition table. You can see we have our SteamOS image reduced to our own specifications and our new NTFS partition for Windows. With SteamOS installed and our Windows partition ready, let's restart the Steam Deck and get our SteamOS initial out-of-the-box setup completed. If you already had SteamOS installed, then feel free to move on to the chapter after this. If you restarted the Steam Deck like me, after installing SteamOS from fresh, you should load into selecting your language, time zone, and setting up your Wi-Fi connection, where you will be required to download updates. This can take up to 20 minutes to complete, depending on your internet connection. After the updates complete, your Steam Deck will restart and you will be prompted to log into your Steam account and, if required, your Steam Guard authentication. Now that we're logged into the Steam Deck, we can press the Steam button and go to Settings and view that our storage is reflective of what we allocated in the KDE Partition Manager. You can format your microSD and start downloading and installing games if you wish, but for now we are going to shut down the Steam Deck and get ready to install Windows 10 or 11 on our newly created partition. To install Windows 10 or 11, plug your bootable USB into the USB-C adapter alongside your mouse and keyboard if you haven't already, to make things easier, where we have to use the keyboard and for better navigation in general. Hold volume down and power to access the boot menu and choose our Windows 10 or 11 USB. The Windows setup will take around a minute to load up, so in that time we want to rotate our deck portrait so we can perform the installation steps. When Windows is installed and we're on our desktop, we will be able to change the screen orientation to landscape. Now, before we go any further, I wanted to mention that in my case here, I am installing a custom version of Windows 10 called SteamOS, so the next few steps will differ ever so slightly. SteamOS, in summary, is a debloated build of Windows 10 or 11 that can provide faster performance than the original versions. In the majority of cases, I would suggest you still use the Windows version for 10 or 11 that I advised to install earlier. Now we are ready, choose Install Windows and accept the license agreement. Choose I don't have a product key and that you just want to install Windows. Once you have those out of the way, you will arrive at the partition list for where you want to install Windows. If we scroll to the bottom of this list, we will see our partition that we created earlier. Because we chose NTFS and pre-formatted this, we can simply go ahead and select this partition and press Next. Windows will now be installed, and for me, this process took 3 to 4 minutes to complete before the Windows setup restarted the Steam Deck and launched the final phase of the installation. Once your Steam Deck has restarted, you will be required to choose your region, keyboard layout, and entering your username. Perform these steps, and for following prompts, I would recommend choosing No and turning any toggles off to reduce some of the features running on Windows 10 or 11. Windows will finish up the installation at the end of these steps, eventually loading into a portrait view of our desktop. Here, we immediately want to right-click on the desktop and choose Display Settings. Scrolling down to Orientation and selecting Landscape, so we can have our Steam Deck the right way round in Windows. The next step now that Windows is installed on our Steam Deck is to install all of the Steam Deck drivers for Windows. You can download these directly from Valve's website. The latest AMD graphics, SD card, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi and sound drivers, which we will need to make sure these are all set up correctly. This link, along with everything else, is listed in the description. I would strongly suggest downloading all zip drivers onto your Windows PC or laptop and extracting them there into individual folders before transferring to a new folder created on your Windows USB. This is to save time, as extracting these zip files on the Steam Deck can take much longer as opposed to your computer. Begin by choosing the folder called APU and double-clicking Setup. Choose Change when these notifications appear to make the control settings window appear, and drag the slider to the very bottom. Hit OK and Yes. This will stop the dialog prompts from appearing every time we want to run any application. Choose Setup again to start the graphics driver setup, and once loaded, select Install. Halfway through the AMD setup, you will need to press Install again in a smaller box. Go ahead and wait for the process to finish. Once completed, press back and install the SD card driver in the Bay Hub folder. Again, choose Setup.exe, select Next, wait for it to finish and choose Restart Later. Go back and choose the Bluetooth folder called RT Blue. In here, we want to double click the file called install-driver.cmd. This will instantly install the Bluetooth driver so you can connect wireless devices through Windows if required. Next, we want to install the Wi-Fi driver inside the RT LAN folder. Go into here and double click setup.exe. This will install automatically and we can click Finish. While installing this, you want to navigate to the last two folders which will enable our sound to work. These are called CS35141 and NAU88L21. Inside both of these folders will be two .inf files that you must right click on and install. Now you will have all of your drivers installed, and if you like, at this stage can go ahead and connect to your Wi-Fi and start downloading the applications and games you want to play. For now though, we are going to shut down the Steam Deck and reboot into SteamOS. Now, this will be the last time we have to perform the volume down and press power option to access SteamOS. So go ahead and load into SteamOS by selecting it from the boot menu. From gaming mode, press the Steam button and switch to desktop mode. Once in desktop mode, we will be installing the refined bootloader. This is what will allow us to have the choice of operating system given to us after pressing the power button, preventing Windows from loading every time we want to turn on our Steam Deck. To start, we want to select System Settings from the taskbar. Within Personalization, select Users on the left-hand side. Here, we must enter and save a user password by selecting Change Password. I always choose PassW due to it being easy to remember and quick to input. So go ahead and set your password to whatever you wish and confirm by clicking Set Password and leave Wallet unchanged. Close the System Settings window and select the Application Launcher in the bottom left. Click System and load a console window. I want to take a moment to give a huge thank you and shout out to a Reddit user called JLoBoo10 for sharing their refined script with instructions on their post and GitHub page, which are both linked in the description for you to follow if you haven't installed Refined before. Having extensively tested this new Refined script, I have created a separate GitHub project which we will be installing here today, which performs the same task as JLoBoo10's original project, but with a longer timeout window of 15 seconds for operating system selection, and a different wallpaper background also linked in the description. Within your console window, we want to type the following, and make sure to type exactly as shown, as this will be case sensitive. We want to type git clone https:// github.com/D deck W wizard / Steam Deck in lowercase _ and lowercase dual boot /. Pressing enter, this will download the refined script, which its operations are explained in JLoBoo10's Reddit post. I would recommend reading through the documentation provided to familiarise yourself with how everything works. I explain this in more detail in my previous dual boot video, where some of these steps were performed manually, and is definitely worth checking out for further reading. we want to type cd space Steam Deck _ dual boot and enter, followed by chmod space +x space S Steam D Deck _ refind with the EFI as capitals _ install.sh and enter. If you type that correctly according to the case sensitivity, on your new line type / Steam Deck with capital S and D _ refind with capital EFI _ install.sh and press enter. Here we are going to be asked for the password we set earlier. As we are typing the password, nothing will appear on screen, but our entry is there, just hidden. So in my case, type passw and press enter. Now the refind script will run and our EFI files for both SteamOS and Windows will be attached to the refined bootloader, and our Steam Deck will instead boot from our refines EFI file. Once all the operations have been completed in the console window, close console and restart the Steam Deck. When we restart or turn on our Steam Deck, our dual boot will be managed by the refined bootloader, which will always load up, allowing us the ability to change between SteamOS or Windows 10 or 11 even after system updates for both. Microsoft recently released the 22H2 update to Windows 11. Unfortunately, we are awaiting revised sound drivers from Valve to work on this build, as when installing them, the drivers break and reinstalling them results in a blue screen. So, for now, it is recommended to use the 21H2 update and disable Windows updates if the 22H2 update appears. I have updated across Windows 10 and 11 with this method many times, and it hasn't happened yet. If it ever does, you can run the script again to bring everything back together. Please see my tutorial on how to set up the Steam Deck controller in Windows. This should be visible on screen, but it is also in my tutorials playlist and listed in the description below. In the video, I guide you through how to install Glosk, which has enabled me to play Xbox 360 games, PC Game Pass, Destiny 2, Minecraft, Fortnite, and much more. To change the background for your bootloader, you must boot into Windows and download Explorer++, also linked in the description. Once extracted, you want to find a PNG wallpaper you want to use. Rename this to background.png. With this ready, go to Start, Search and find Command Prompt, making sure to run as admin. With command prompt open, type mount vol b:/s and press enter. Close command prompt and run Explorer++ as admin. In here we can go through our BESP partition, EFI, Refine, Themes, and inside here will be our default background.png. Here we want to copy and paste manually our new background.png for the old one inside our B drive. Once that's done, go ahead and reboot the Steam Deck to see your new wallpaper displayed whenever you turn on your Steam Deck. In my previous tutorial, you will have noticed that OS selection was possible with the D-pad, but was broken with the SteamOS 3.3 update. This may return in the future, but for now we have the trackpad available alongside R2 for choosing SteamOS or Windows. If you have any questions that I haven't covered here, please post down below and I will try my best to get back to you. Alternatively, my Discord, email and Twitter is always available if you'd like to strike up a conversation there. Also, check out my other tutorials and gameplay videos where I cover SteamOS, Xbox 360, PS2, PS3, Dreamcast, PS1, GameCube, and many more platforms running on the Steam Deck. If you have any requests for games, please post down below and I will see if I can get around to trying it out. As always, thank you all for watching and I'll see you later.